Hello, I'm Cat, and the Copper Age update is just days away from dropping for all Minecraft Bedrock platforms, and it is going to change Minecraft forever, mostly in a positive way, adding new recipes and a very cute new mob, but this also means that lots of existing recipes are going to change, and so there are blocks you're going to need more in the future than you do right now, but also there are things that you want to craft now while it's cheaper than it will ever be. Effectively, some recipes are about to be on sale, and you'll want to make sure you get them now while you still can. Here are the 5 things that I'm going to be doing in my world before the update comes out, because I want to have that very slight advantage, and if you do too, you can follow along with me, because the first is going to involve something you've probably never crafted into a recipe. It's used in literally one so far, but if you've never crafted a hanging sign, or if you don't craft them very regularly, you probably don't keep a ton of strip logs lying around, and so when the update comes out, you can either have a steady supply of these blocks ready to make some cherry shelves, or you can go out there and you can have to mine the blocks and get them in an even number of 6 ahead of time now. That's entirely valid, of course. You might choose to want to do it, but it's something huge that you're going to want to be ready for, and so now that is the first and most important thing that I can say. Just have some fun, do a resource gathering project, find some trees in your world that you already want to chop down or that you wouldn't hurt yourself by chopping down. Maybe you have a tree farm or something like that. Find some trees that you want to get rid of, and then just make sure you left click or left trigger or right click before you break the block, and all of a sudden you'll get a ton of these strip logs, which future you will be very proud of past you for doing. Boom! First advice, be ready to have an ingredient which currently you don't really need, but you will very shortly. What is advice piece number 2 then? Well, I'm going to go ahead and say something quite interesting here to some of you, because although I think that, oh, look how much better it looks when you strip them, by the way. I'm going to say something that might be surprising to people, because even though I think for some people it'd be really useful to say, get copper blocks, we are about to get all of these brand new crafting recipes, and so you probably want to be ahead of the game on that one. I mean, I'm saying probably, but let's be real, you're going to want to be ahead of the game. So if you want to be ahead, I would say go to a trial chamber right now if you're in a brand new world. But ultimately, I know that most people watching these videos do have long-term survival worlds, or what we're currently calling forever worlds. And so if you have a forever Minecraft world, if you have a world you intend to keep around for a while, you probably have copper sitting around already. And that's why it's so important that you do this right now. Do you have copper sitting around? I would say craft it if you ever think at any point in your world's long history you'll want a copper trapdoor. Why do I say that? Well, let me show you by taking some copper blocks and de-ingoting them right now. So these 5 copper blocks become 45 ingots, and those 45 ingots at present, right here, will become, as you can see, 14 trapdoors. That maths feels incorrect, but it is, right? It's 9 times 2. No, wait, yeah, 14, that isn't correct. Oh, it is, because we've got only half of the next recipe. So, currently, if you have 42 copper ingots, you'll get 14 trapdoors. That's because 6 copper ingots can be used to make 2 copper trapdoors. However, the recipe is going to change to this, which means that 42 copper ingots would get you 10 trapdoors. That is 4 trapdoors that just vanish from thin air, not to mention the extra 2 ingots. There is a huge downside to waiting if you ever are going to have copper trapdoors, and so if you can possibly see any use in your world for these things, or even if you want to invent the uses in your world, you can currently get them for a discount. Now, this is not quite as good of a discount or as good of a deal as when golden apples were craftable using nuggets instead of ingots. Man, that was a good time for anyone who could take advantage, but it is still the sort of thing where if you have an amount of copper that's sitting around your world anyway, and there's even a chance you're going to turn it into trapdoors, why not turn it into trapdoors now, so you've got something fun to hang around with. Even if you don't place them down, just having them in a chest means you'll be more prepared. Speaking of being more prepared, before we talk about one of the big ones that I really want to make sure I get done, because I think it's just an important part of how the shelf is going to function, I'd like to talk about the lightning rod, because the lightning rod is in a really interesting position for survival players, which is to say, if you started to survive a world after the update came out, then you would have lightning rods which would oxidize like every other copper block, and you would probably think nothing of it, but if you have any lightning rods in your world right now, then naturally they are going to start oxidizing. This might cause a problem for some of your builds, so I would say look around and just check that you don't have anything where a lightning rod being blue would ruin it. That is something that some of you might have. I've got a big tunnel under my oceans that is made of copper rods, but I don't go anywhere near it, so I'm sure it's not a big deal. But also think about the opposite. If you are ever going to want to have oxidized copper rods, you can't find them in the wild right now, like you can for most other oxidized blocks. You can't craft a lightning rod out of oxidized copper ingots because those don't exist. And so if you are going to want these blocks to be oxidized at some point, but you don't know when that point will be, and you're going to spend your time after the update doing other survival things, well then it might be worth, as silly as this sounds, placing down some copper rods just around. Now sure, you have to consider, is this going to be a lightning risk? And you also have to be careful about how far apart you place these, but I'm going to have some copper rods be right in front of my Let's Play house, because now any time I spend around here doing anything is going to be time that will contribute to these being oxidized. Well, it'll be time they start oxidizing after the update. For now, they're in this weird position where they can't oxidize because the oxidized version of the copper rod does not exist. I'm calling it the copper rod, by the way. It is officially the lightning rod. Now, let's talk about the next fun idea here, because I am going to craft 22 black banners, and the only reason I'm not crafting more is because I'm running low on sticks. But you know what, let's craft some more sticks right now. Let's craft some more black banners, because I'm going to want to have at least 26 of these, and you're going to as well. I mean, I think that at least if you want to take full advantage of the shelf, because the shelf is a wonderful block that can do so much for your Minecraft world. I've already mentioned how you're going to want to craft them so bad, whether you're using them as a builder or whether you're using them as a way to showcase information, everyone has a use for the shelf block. Again, vertical slab or way to put interesting banners into something. It's cool. But let's imagine we have a shelf right here, shall we? Wow, look at the power of video editing. This is incredible, the future is here. But if we imagine we have a shelf, we can now do something crazy you can't do with current banners, which is effectively display 3 banners in one slot. Here are 10 banners that I've made over my years that I've really enjoyed making, and if you want to have one of these banners, or indeed 3 of these banners on the same spot, you can't really do that. You can kind of put a block in the middle of another one if you want to, but that doesn't really work that great in my opinion. And so what do? The shelf. The shelf allows you to store 3 banners in one space, so any banners that you think you'd like to put in a shelf, now's the time. And you might be saying, Toycat, this is a real stretch to include this, but no, there's a reason I'm mentioning this, and it's because there's one really good use case for 3 banners per block, and it is having letters. Right now, I have banners for, is that the French flag? The Dutch flag. I have banners for Neapolitan ice cream if you're allergic to chocolate. I've got banners for all sorts of different things here, but I don't have banners for one of the most useful use cases for them, letters. So I'm going to go with the banners in a crafting table or a loom. The loom is better value for doing this, but it is also a lot messier, and we're going to craft all of the letters one by one. So this is something that I was hoping there'd be some easy tool for doing this that would make it easy, but sadly that doesn't seem to be true. But if you want to, it's been so long I genuinely have forgotten how you make these banner patterns in a loom. Every time I come, it's because it's bone meal, not white dye. I was like, I know it's meant to go there, but it's not working. So let's put our banners in there, let's put our white dye in there, and let's show you how we make the letter A. So I've got the easiest tutorial I could find was from Pinterest, of all places. It's a terrible website when you're not logged in, so I'm not going to necessarily wholeheartedly recommend it. But basically, on the Pinterest page for A, it says use a black pale Dexter, or a white pale Dexter, in this case. Then we're going to use a black Chief Fez. Oh, I'm making 14 of these. I don't want to do that. I'll just put one of those back in there, and then we're going to make ourselves a black Chief Fez, which is, it can be tricky to work out these when you first start doing them, but if you do all 26 in a row, you'd be surprised how easily it comes. That is a Fez, yes it is. Then we have a Sinister, which is a reverse of the first one we did. Then we have a Pale, which is just all the way across the middle here. Is that a pale? Yes, it is. And now we've got a banner that has the letter A, except, maybe I want this to be a little bit more functional than it is, in which case I can use the black dye, and we can make this look a bit more like a real A and not an ugly one by doing one of these. Just like that, we have the letter A as a banner that anytime we want to, because this is how banners work, we can put the A in there, and then we can put the banner in there, and it will craft 2 A banners. If I wanted 2 A's, because I want to start my own car repair business or something, that's a joke that only works in the UK. Wait, I know how to make this joke work for my American viewers. Sorry, if you live in a country or territory that does not have the Automobile Association, I happen to learn what it's called in America, and for my British viewers, you're not going to believe this. They call the Automobile Association the American Automobile Association, or the AAA. I think there's also, you get discounts on flights for being a member of the AAA, and I've never understood that, but this is very unrelated to the video at this point. If you ever want to have banners with letters on, here's what you've got to do. It's times like these, it's really good to have all of the banner patterns, if you possibly can. I think you can always make them without, but it's going to seem just a little bit jankier if you do it wrong. And so here is my S. Man, that is a dodgy looking S if I've ever seen one. But, yeah, now we're going to do this for more and more letters, slowly creating collections of all of them. Okay, just in case you're going to include that bit of me laughing earlier, I just want it to be clear, this is the technically correct way to spell that if I'm going to find it funny, because otherwise I just mean donkeys. Anyway, speaking of being donkeys, I am going to need a lot of black dye for this, and so I'd give the note before you start on this, or find the collection of banners, which you can do on... Again, I found the easiest ones on Pinterest, even though it's a terrible user experience, but you can find them on Planet Minecraft and other places. Every banner... you can find banner patterns for basically everything there, if you want to. But what's fun about this is you're going to need a lot of wool and dye in that same color, and then dye in the color that you're going to be making it. So just make sure you pick an easy one. Black isn't necessarily that easy for most people, because black dye comes from wither flowers and squids. But it just so happens I have a bunch of those. And if you don't, there's a guy who will sell them to you. Damn it, I'd be so perfect if he sold me some. But if you need cyan dye, your boy's got you covered. I should also mention, this is my obligatory reference to the fact that they also will usually have you covered if you need to buy some wood to strip. And so, why not do that if you come past one of these guys? But for now, I'll just buy some cyan. Just so we have it ready to use if I need it. And then we'll go pick up some black and finish my collection of letters that I'll want. Okay, I've done it. I've got all of my banners made. Well, I mean, most of my banners made. A, B, C, X, Y, Z. I mean, what's in between in the alphabet, really? I don't think they teach that anymore. I'm pretty sure they teach the alphabet wrong these days. And so that is the full alphabet as far as I'm concerned. And so it might be worth collecting this for yourself. But that is the fourth thing that is really useful, so you can have those letters ready to put in a banner. What is the fifth thing? Well, I'm not going to try and give you something really obvious, like, whoa, if you have tools with mending, have you considered repairing them? Because as I come to my trial chamber, I am just overcome with sources of XP that I apparently can get for basically free. Oh god, that knocked me so far into the air. But yeah, there's lots of easy ways that you could get XP and heal up your tools. But this is just general, like, if you want to do it advice. It's kind of like, make sure you're not hungry before you leave the house. It's like, useful, but not even always sort of advice. Like, you might enjoy killing mobs more off the update. Maybe you'll enjoy having a copper golem as your companion, which is maybe why this next point is going to be so relevant, because I came over here... Oh, no, okay. I should not have gotten a fight with this many skeletons. I know that's kind of on me, but also I just didn't expect it to be so ridiculous. Anyway, speaking of ridiculous, I have a bit of a funny situation that occurred in my Let's Play while I was actually working on getting this very item that I think is going to be essential. By the way, the really exciting part of the update to me is it will finally fix the painting bug, where your paintings will just randomly fall off walls right now. It's a very frustrating one for anyone who's dealing with it, if you know, you know. And it's just one of those things that feels like it should have been in a bug fix update, but this random paintings are disappearing from your walls bug will stop eventually. And yeah, in the meantime, every single time this falls off the world, I'll just keep putting it there, because I like having this window that reminds me it's always day outside, if I believe in myself. But yeah, it isn't actually always day outside, and that is why I'd like to give you some fun advice about collecting carved pumpkins. Obviously, the new mob that everyone wants, and that Mojang knows we want, is the copper golem. And how do you make a copper golem? Carved pumpkins. How do you make carved pumpkins? Well, you farm a bunch of regular ones, right? I have this big old carved pumpkin farm. I guess it's a pumpkin farm that I then carve. And whenever I'm anywhere near my base, it should spit out some pumpkins. But something really funny happened that led to me not getting as many pumpkins as I was expecting. And it was a drowned who appeared in the middle of the farm. And what's wild is, you might know that mobs can pick up blocks. What you might not realize is they can pick up stacks of blocks. He was standing there picking up every pumpkin that went past him. And so when I killed him, I got 60 plus of them. which is just ridiculous. But now you know, there's something fun you might not have seen, but pick up some more pumpkins, have a pumpkin farm of some form, but specifically, make sure you've got some that are carved and ready to go. This is very, very important, and you just might not be thinking it, but grab some pumpkins, grab yourself some shears, and just like this, we're going to take these pumpkins and we're going to make them into carved ones. Now, here's something fun you might not have thought about, because this seems like fairly basic advice. Like, Toycat, are you really going to tell us to carve our pumpkins now? I don't think I need to know that. I think I could wait, but there is one reason you want some carved pumpkins now, and it relates to why I just picked up so much copper. Because after the update, as you'll all know, to make a copper golem, like we just referenced, you need to have that, you need to have the carved pumpkin be on top of a copper block, and so after the update, anytime you do that, it's going to create a copper golem. But what if, let's just imagine, there was a way to have that formation without it creating one of those golems? Well, you don't have to imagine, because, oh god, why do I need spider eyes? You don't have to imagine, because if you place down that block combination right now, it won't become a copper golem after the update. Minecraft works on a system that's basically is known as block updates, which means that things don't happen because something is that way in a world, it happens because you change something. And so if we were to just place casually around here some copper golem looking blocks like this, as long as you never change either of these blocks in the future, you can have a illegal block combination for future Minecraft, assuming you don't turn on cheats, but you can have an illegal block combination in your world right now if you just place these guys right around. And so next to my golden throne, I'm going to have 6 copper golems like this. I also like the idea of using like a regular copper block and just having one of these be somewhere a bit more close to my world. But yeah, if you want to, you can have a copper golem that isn't a copper golem, and that seems silly, but as we've seen from the love for like cursed or deleted terrain, I mean the number of things that I look at my world where I'm like, yeah, that's kind of weird and broken, and people say, that's kind of awesome actually. It makes me realize that there is a space in people's heart for having things that shouldn't exist but do anyway, and so here in my chest room, I'm going to make a lovely little place for a copper golem. He's not a real copper golem, but he's a copper golem in my heart, and isn't that what really matters? It's not actually, but it is for the sake of this video, because I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you found at least some of these things to be useful, because one of my favourite things to do is to guide people with their long-term survival worlds to the things that are most important to do now and not in the future, and we are expecting some very big ones of those for the full drop, but for this drop, it's been mostly pretty chilled. If you missed out any of these things, you wouldn't be too heartbroken. But we're talking about a 33% sale on copper trapdoors. We are talking about lightning rods that will be a pain to get because they require time, and so you might as well start the process ASAP. And we're talking about an ingredient for crafting that you probably never used before, and so why not start right now? Yeah, that's good. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed it, because I'll see you in the next episode of the Let's Play, which might be when the update has come out. I've got some fun plans for the copper golem. I'm looking forward to taking them into place. But yeah, next Monday, we'll see. And if it's not on Monday, then maybe we'll push the Let's Play to Tuesday. We'll see exactly what's happening on Minecraft Live this weekend, which you can watch on this channel. Oh, if you're curious, by the way, about when the best time to pick up Boss Blitz is, I have some good news for you, because Minecraft have just told me it's going to be on sale tomorrow. You'll be able to get it for 33% off. And if you're curious as to why I made these banners, it's my brand new calendar to let me know what time it is. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.